Hi, I'm Barney.
Hi, I'm Ken.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm the second southerner.
I'm Mono, and I think your third choice keeper should be on the bench.
I'm Luke, and I think he's talking rubbish.
And I'm Font, and I thought the argument would make a good podcast. This is Third Choice Keeper on the Bench. So I think through all these podcasts so far, we've found that we agree on very little. Or a lot of us agree on a lot of it, and then Luke doesn't agree with any of it. So we'll see where we go with this then. But if you've had the good defensive game where it's a 0-0, and you've got the extra time and it's still 0-0, and then it goes to penalties where you get your full allocation of goals in that short period of time. For me, as the neutral, it's not great. I'd imagine if you've got a leg in the game, it's more enticing and more adventure. And no, what's the word? It's more climactic to watch. But what do we think? Could there be a better way of deciding these games than a penalty shootout? Go.
I'm going to just jump in before Luke says it. I think Luke would just like to call it honours even at 0-0 and split whatever it is that you're competing for. I think he's all up for a split FA Cup, a split Champions League and a split World Cup if it ends up 0-0.
Well, firstly, if it's ended 0-0, can't we all just be happy? But as much as I'd like to say that, the problem is it doesn't work in knockout competitions.
That's true.
So what do we do then?
I was doing research on this a couple of weeks ago when we first kind of mooted it out. So looking at everything, it was there was three which kind of really stood out as viable options. One is called attacker, defender, goalie. Another one is a free kick shootout. And then the final one is going off statistics. So if we can, I don't know if anyone else has any other ideas, we can go into them. But they're kind of three ones which I think we can kind of delve into and chat about.
So let's look at the statistics one. So the primary statistic is how many goals you've scored. And then the secondary statistic is how many goals you've conceded. Or Luke would have them the other way around. It's not about the goals you score, it's about the goals you stop scoring. So then what is the third most important statistic that you could then decide a game on? Corners? Free kick?
To my eye, there's, and it kind of goes against our shithouse 11 thing, but discipline. So fouls, cards, that kind of thing, to kind of make try and make the game a bit
more
cleaner.
yellow cards go through.
Yeah.
But you haven't had a red card. So you've got to know just how far to push that boundary.
So you're saying a red card wipes off your yellows, or a red card is a negative? So say for every yellow card you get a point, and then for every red card it's -3.
Or if you've had a sending off, that trumps it all. That's the end of it.
But then it becomes again how many people can get sent off.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if it finishes 0-0, then you look, right, which team still has 11 on the pitch?
Right, okay.
But with that, there's so many different kind of metrics, and there's an XG rating that's come into football recently, which is expected goals and possession. There's so many different kind of metrics that you can use. As I say, it was just an idea that I kind of saw out there that people were talking about. But
How about a panel of judges?
Strictly style.
Yeah. So you've got all
Like
the statistics,
Robot Wars.
and anyone can argue the statistics like, oh, they had like 60% possession, but they just passed it around the back the whole time. Why just have like a panel of 3 or 5 judges that just kind of go, well, we reckon so and so.
Can it be like Robot Wars? Points for damage, style, and aggression.
Yeah.
Yes.
That works with the shithousery.
Maybe possession and shots on target and expected goals is the way to go, but in reverse. If you've had 75% possession and you've not won, you're out. You're gone.
Yeah. If you were expected to score 5 goals and you haven't scored any, then it's the team that stopped you scoring them has done better there, hasn't they?
That's a really good point, actually.
Well, no, expected goals goes off that they've not stopped them scoring, they've failed to score. So it's kind of the same end result, but it's not the other team stopping them.
Is that not really dull and boring, though?
It is. It is.
And how does it like the game's ended, so someone comes out with a clipboard? Well, let's have a look and see who's won, shall we? You had the most possession, we get some points for that one. Corners, expected goals. Oh. So that's more anticlimactic, isn't it, to have the one man in the middle?
It is, which is why I don't think it ever could be that. It's just, it was just an idea that, especially with the discipline, if you get a team that's getting 8 yellow cards, I know Luke will say, that's shithouse mastery, but if they're spoiling the game, it's in the, it's trying to get a free flowing game of football. I think that's where that idea would have come out.
They aren't spoiling the game; they're making the game.
Not everyone likes it, really. Just saying.
Some people like football.
Yeah. Some people like goals.
I thought they were the same. It'll never catch on.
So what were the other two? So one was free kicks, which is just like penalty shootouts, but if it goes in, it's more.
The kind of thing with a free kick shootout it would be kind of a set distance and from the goal, but that would be a bit more about skill. Whereas a penalty shootout, it's pretty much 80-20 in favour of a striker there. Like you look at a shootout, you're pretty much expecting 4 goals, to go in per side. Like, whereas a free kick shootout, it would be, a bit more skill and a bit more kind of, the drama would be there, but it would be like, if you remember a couple of years ago, Ronaldo scoring against Spain with a couple of minutes left in the World Cup, I kind of, he's put it in the top corner from 20 yards,
I like that idea. It involves it involves the whole team as well. You can ever say, right, okay, there's a free kick, because it doesn't have to be like a shot. You could say you've got 30 seconds or like 15 seconds or something like that from when the referee blows his whistle to having an attempt on goal. So it doesn't have to be the person hitting the ball has to have a shot, but it can be like the delivery into the box for something like that. It could be that kind of thing, because that's more of a, like you say, it's more of a demonstration of skill.
Yeah. I agree with that one a little bit more, because lots of goals that are scored off free kicks are the header or the volley that comes off the back of it can be equally spectacular.
I quite like the way they have shootouts in hockey, which is where the player starts. I think they start on the halfway line and they've got so many seconds, so they have to take the ball forward and then beat the keeper, who's obviously like to come out and have the angle, but then they can even look at shooting early, going round the keeper, etc. But it's a set play between goalkeeper and one attacker.
Well, that's a similar thing to what they did in the early MLS is, from the halfway line, which is, if we go on to the last one, attacker, defender, goalie. So similar to that MLS, you have an attacker who starts on the halfway or however far, and they've got a defender and a goalkeeper to be a set amount of time, and it would then be about the skill. But then the other thing with that is, say you've got 11 people on the pitch at the end, you nominate 5 defenders, you nominate 5 attackers.
If the defender makes an infringement, would that be
automatic goal?
Okay, yeah.
Oh wow! So the defender's got to be really careful then.
Yeah.
Same with the goalkeeper as well.
So how does that play end? Does that play end when the ball is either out of play, in full possession of the defender, or in full possession of the goalkeeper? Because the defender could take the ball off them and they could nick the ball back.
The way the MLS and the the North American Soccer League in the 70s and 80s, they did it was with a time limit of you got 5 seconds to get your shot away or something like that. But they used to. I just finished reading this book. It's called Rock and Roll Soccer, and it was all about the America's first attempt to do a proper soccer league. And they came up with all kinds of different experiments, different point systems, and the shootouts. That kind of shootout was one of their things they were doing. And some of the teams used to market the whole game on the shootout, even though it wouldn't always go to a shootout, but that was like the most exciting bit of the game. So they would just come and see, and you might see the shootout.
Well, of course, Americans hate a draw, don't they?
I'm not sure that's quite true, because there are ties in lots of other American sports. But I think that was a kind of a half myth that was perpetuated by this shootout, because it was different to how things were done in Europe. And so this is from this book I've just been reading. So it was like the author was like, he didn't buy that idea. But yeah, they're certainly not a big fan of the 0-0.
I rest my case.
I can see the issue with that as having the decider being more spectacular to watch than the main body of the game. Is why bother with the main body of the game at all and just turn up, watch 10 minutes of this deciding activity, 5-10 minutes of deciding activity. Then you've seen the most spectacular bit, then go home instead of hoping and praying that it's an awful, boring, or in some people's eyes, fantastic 0-0 draw, just so they can see the good bit at the end. So this replacement for penalties can't be too thrilling, too exciting. It can't be more exciting than, let's say, a score draw. Let's not say 0-0, but if it's 3-3, it can't be more exciting than a 3-3, because nothing's more exciting than a high-scoring draw, Luke.
Well, you say that, but try getting a 1-0 last-minute winner. Shootouts the opposition.
I mean, that's not a draw, so I'm on about draws. Oh, how about a last-minute 4-3?
Nah, there's a joy of the defensive framework and a 1-0.
I mean, it sounds like I'm blaspheming, seeing as I'm an Arsenal fan and the whole 1-0 to the Arsenal thing, but no. A 5-4 win against Tottenham, what year was that? 2003, maybe? Yeah, that 5-4 win against Tottenham was far more fun than any kind of 1-0.
So I'm going to guess you're going to say, well, I can't think of anything, penalties are the best option. But Luke, do you have any alternatives?
No, I think I won't have too big an objection to go into the hockey sort of style shootout, sort of with a goalkeeper and an attacker.
How about something completely different? How about something that's a bit more detached from the game you've just seen? I like the idea of the managers getting involved. And again, you can do a penalty shootout like you did last time, but instead of having your players, you've got your manager versus manager. One in goal, one taking the shots. Something detached from the game, something which is quite a spectacle. And it also then questions who you have as your manager, just in case this ever comes up. You have someone who's a technical mastermind, or do you use the third choice goalkeeper who's honed his own career on the bench waiting for this penalty shootout so he can have his big moment and put him in? He becomes a manager just in case that this kind of thing happens, and everyone would flock to them.
So what you're saying is Crystal Palace at the moment aren't going to be playing for a lot of draws.
You don't know how good Roy Hodgson is in net, do you?
Well, to answer your question directly,
he looks like an owl, so he must be able to get to fly.
Oh dear.
But I think the manager should get involved. I'm a big advocate for rock, paper, scissors, so I'm just going to take that off the table.
Yeah. Well, that was actually, wasn't that one of the ways we thought about deciding who was going to win the league? Just have a rock, paper, scissors between all the managers.
Yeah. I heard another good way that they could finish the league on FIFA is where you kind of split so play, say, a full, I don't know if you can do the full 90 minutes on FIFA, but just give you time allocations, so your goalkeeper plays against your goalkeeper for a bit, and then your right back plays against your right back, etc. through the course of the game. So everyone's involved in a big game of FIFA.
I like that.
No, anything what involves computer games.
How about
boxing, wrestling, rock, paper, scissors? I'm all fine with any of those. But we are not taking it onto a TV.
How about? No, this wouldn't. I was going to say that before the game, each team writes down what they think the attendance is going to be for the match. But if it's a sellout, I thought, that beforehand, so that kind of takes it out of there. But then it's kind of like like that kind of, or a pub quiz style tiebreak. But there's just in an envelope, a sealed envelope. It's like what is the distance between Ipswich and Canberra in miles, and you've got to write that down. What you think that might be. Captains are then, when they're given the question, so they'll write it down, then they'll seal it in an envelope, and then if it is a draw at the end of the 90 plus minutes, then they can see who's closest. I'm going to go for that one. I want that one.
Crystal Palace have just started playing for draws again.
I had a couple of other suggestions, semi-serious and not.
Mine are all serious.
Of course, I never doubted it. Instead of doing penalty shootouts, like stopping the game, and they could just add extra time, but keep adding to the extra time, like adding more balls. Like every 5 minutes, you add another ball in. Or the other option with that is to have extra time, but each team has to keep taking a player off every couple of minutes until you end up just 1v1.
I heard that one, yeah. Every 5 minutes in extra time, take one off. So you'd probably end up with 6 aside for the last 5 minutes. Instead of
the taking the player off, is a player should come off and they should get replaced by a fan.
Yes.
And then that'll kind of you would expect that the fans would not be as good as the players, and that can create a bit of a gap to get into. And you'd end up playing for your team. I think you'd sell out every week if you've got that chance. That you could, for example, Nick, you could end up playing for Arsenal in an FA Cup final based on this. That'd be incredible.
Yeah, but imagine how devastated you'd be, Nick, when you've cost Arsenal the cup because you let Big Dave get in unmarked at the far post.
Well, I know what it would be like playing against you, Luke, as well. So,
Elbows.
Exactly.
What other ideas did you have, Nick?
The other one was less of a knockout tiebreak. It was more for the league. If two teams were tied at the top of the league on points, they should have some kind of shootout, maybe between fans who've been thrown out of the grounds,
or mass Royal Rumble of fans that have been chucked out of the ground. Last man standing.
They could just do that with the players as well. It could be you could just do your pitch invasion. Right, that's it. It's 0-0. Everyone in.
Battle Royale. Everyone
comes in from the stands. It's not picking you. I know that kind of takes out your fans that have been thrown out, but a full-on brawl to find out who's going to win.
So basically, we're going back to football hooliganism.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Shithouse
Back to the glory days.
One thing, if we decided to keep the penalty shootout, one thing we could do to make it just a little bit more visually entertaining is a forfeit if you miss. So something like if you
affect the player that's missed, or would it affect the next? So if you miss, then
you have to take it like a meter further away or something like that. You could do that, or you could do actually the person who misses then has to run naked around the pitch or something like that.
What do you think of that one, Luke? Ashley Barnes, he's coming up for that first penalty. Are you going? Well, there's plenty more. We can claw some at back. I won't mind it if he missed this one.
Ashley won't miss. It would certainly make the phrase "Can he do it on a cold Tuesday night at Stoke" bring a whole new meaning to that phrase, though.
I'll just run the loop. If I can get
You can walk.
I've got a quick penalty shootout game we could do that might that'll round off the penalties thing.
As he's gone, can we do a quiz where I would never know the answers, but give me all the answers and put me against Barney?
If we can, yeah, we can do this one.
Oh, now we've agreed on it, you could just message Fonty the answers.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
I feel better for that.
Are you relieved?
Incessantly, yeah.
Mono's just putting together a quick game.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm trying to... Hang on. I had everything
anyone-
up and then double check stuff. So I need 2 people who are going to play it.
Did you call me?
I think that were a volunteer there, Barney.
Yeah,
that's
you had to call me.
Hang
Go on
on,
then, I'll take
has
on
Fonty
Barney.
has Fonty played a game yet?
I've
He's
played
not.
the Impressions one that went terribly.
And you
Well,
took on
redeem
Barney.
yourself.
You took on Barney, didn't you?
Redeem
So you might as well redeem yourself.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
So Barney,
That's
you okay
decided
with?
then, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
What's
match.
It's going to be you and Font in a grudge match from the Impressions round. Don't worry, it's not Impressions.
Okay, so it's me versus Font.
So it's you versus Font.
Okay.
In keeping with the penalty theme, I've taken England's 2 major penalty defeats of the 90s. So, what West Germany were the opponents. So 1990 West Germany versus England and 1996 Germany versus England. I want you to take it in turns to name the 5 penalty takers. There were 6
For who?
in
For who?
96 for England. There were 6 in 96.
Okay.
I just want the first 5. Okay. So it's
Okay.
This is where the coin toss comes into it, because whoever gets to pick could then use it to kind of their speciality. So, who wants to call?
So you're
Font call?
breaking up. Is that breaking up for anyone else?
Am I there?
I do.
Yeah.
Font want to call?
Sorry, Mono went very...
Go on then. I'll call heads.
It's heads. So, Font, do you want 96 or 1990?
I'll go 96.
Okie dokie. And seeing as you've chosen Barney, do you want to go first or second?
I'll let him go first.
Okay. So Font, name the. This is from the first. This is from the first 5 penalty takers for England. Name one.
So, with my very limited knowledge of football, Alan Shearer.
Yes, that's correct. You got the first one. Barney.
No, does it matter which, or do I have to get the first
We're not-
person?
We're not going to do
Just
it.
pick
in
any of
order.
the 5. Any of the 5.
Yeah.
That's fine.
any of
I'll go Lineker.
Lineker. That's correct. Font.
Stuart Pearce.
Stuart Pearce did score. Yes. Third. Barney, over to you.
I'll go Waddle.
Waddle. Correct. Waddle with the famous miss. So that was an obvious one there. 2-2.
Would he have? Oh, what year did he finish? Gaza. Paul Gascoigne.
Gascoigne, yeah, he scored the 4th one. Doing very well for him.
I'm struggling.
Well, you've picked the kind of obvious names of the era.
Yeah.
Oh, did he not? It sounds. I'm also going Pearce.
Correct. Pearce missed this time.
Yeah.
He missed the 4th penalty. 3-3.
Going for names from the era. David Platt.
What made you say that? You're just picking. I mean,
I'm
you're
just
right.
going for players I'm just going for players I can sort of remember from that.
I mean, you're right.
time.
He's
You're
digging
right.
David Platt out. Wow. Okay. Wow.
The Font doesn't have a lot of knowledge, Barney, and he's 4-3.
Smashing this. Yeah. Did he take one? I don't think he did. I wouldn't have thought so. Not because he was crying for most of the game. Got to remember, I was only 4.
I've picked things which are quite iconic that would have been repeated every time. Like England may end up doing a penalty shootout.
Just trying to think who else might have taken one. Who else is up front then? Because I'm umming and ahhing about Hoddle, Robson, possibly Robson. Let's go Robson.
Robson did not take a penalty.
Did he play? Please tell me at least playing.
I'll come back to you on if he played because I have to go off the screen a minute.
Okay.
So
I think he was injured. I think he was injured.
So if Font correctly guesses, then
He wins. Oh.
Font
He pulls out
may
all
beat
5.
Barney at a football quiz.
Thing is, I don't think I'd have pulled out David Platt. A great shout. Okay.
I didn't really follow football much, but I had the played with all the stickers.
You had the Panini sticker book.
Yeah. Well, you know, just a bit of trading, a bit of wheeling and dealing.
Be a good time to dig out a shiny.
It really would. Teddy Sheringham.
Oh wow.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
I would not have thought this. But I would not have thought that
As
you
soon
would
as
have
you
got
said it, I
5
went,
from
that's
5.
right.
Have I done it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yes,
Yeah,
it.
done it.
As I said,
Great
to me,
seconds.
as I said, that he's got the 4 that I'd have thought, I'd have definitely got. Where's he got David Platt from? Good player and all, but he's not exactly a name or a penalty you'd remember in that situation or that tournament. Wow.
Do you want to know the 2 that you didn't get, Barney?
Just so it is, double or quits. If Barney gets both of these,
Okay.
we'll call it a tie.
Because the other option I was going to say was possibly Gaza did take one, and I was going to also possibly Ince. Did he take one?
Right. So you're going for Gaza and Ince.
Yeah.
No for both of those.
Smeg. I don't know.
What you should have done was you should have took you should have took Font's lead because he went Stuart Pearce and you went Stuart Pearce. So when he went David Platt and you're going David Platt, oh that's a good shout. That Platt's a great shout. Yeah, you should have shouted for it.
Shout.
You should have shouted for it as
All
well because he scored one in 1990.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough.
Peter Beardsley got the other one in case anyone's interested. So we've got it on record that Font beat Barney
Twice.
at a football quiz.
The thing is, though,
Twice.
I don't think he's
We had to
also
commission a
definitely
plaque.
got 5 when I'd have probably only got 4 as well. That's cracking.
Was there going to be, if we'd have drawn, what was the tiebreaker going to be?
actual
The
penalty shootout.
tiebreaker, I was going to pick nearest to the attendance for the 1990 semi-final because I thought 96. Yeah, because it's like a nearest pin thing then instead of keep naming names. Because I thought that if I did 96, then it's like it's at Wembley and the you can kind of guess full house at Wembley.
Surely
so I
a
thought
tiebreaker
was
is
it-
name
how
the
do you-
third choice goalkeeper.
No, go on then, Barney.
the tiebreaker.
Let's just do it.
Okay, if you want to do the tiebreaker, what are your guesses for the attendance for West Germany versus England in 1990?
It's Italy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Italian
Who-
90.
city?
Turin.
56,000.
Okay. Font.
I'm going to go 62,500.
62.5.
You could have just gone 56,001, but
Yeah, you could have got one more and one less. So you take
true.
the gamble by shooting over because if it's 58,
I've just enjoyed being here so far. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed the day.
Yeah.
I've just got to go for it.
I've had a lovely day.
Time.
You've had a lovely time, and if it did go to the tiebreaker, you were out by 128 fonts, so well done.
And the moral of the story
is that Barney knows nothing about football.
Totally.
The main moral of the story is when we say, shall we play a game, then don't run off and say, I'm just going to pop to the loo.
Because you got told them all, didn't you? Absolute scum.
When you were giving the attendance and you went 62,000, I'm like, don't go bang on. It's the biggest giveaway. You also got nominated to do the game in your absence because you went chatting to someone at the top of the stairs.
For the record, it was Font's idea, so you know.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I actually was like, I know, like, I think after he said Dave Platt, I almost started thinking who was the fifth one for that one rather than mine. So I thought, there's no way he's digging out all five. I thought, but and I actually went, it's got to be Teddy Sheringham because he was the other striker going on. And I thought, at worst, it might be Darren Anderton.
I thought you were going to get the fifth one wrong to give him a chance of putting it to the tie-break.
There was no way I was getting. Well, I should have. Well, after he said David Platt, maybe I should have. That's a big clue, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of this latest episode, and if you've been affected by anything you've heard, send us an email, thirdchoicekeeperpodcast@gmail.com.